Everyone, welcome to the channel. For those who are unfamiliar with the channel, my name is Nick. You do end up becoming a subscriber by the end of this video. The first XRP ETF was formally announced not long ago and it launched yesterday. Investors will receive twice as much leveraged exposure to XRP with this ETF. Naturally, this is the first of many ETFs to be legalized in the United States. That, in my opinion, will establish the framework for the approval of all the others. This will be a major catalyst, in my opinion, and it will have a significant effect on XRP. It resembles the Bitcoin ETFs quite a bit. I'm aware that many people may argue that the Ethereum ETFs weren't particularly successful and didn't experience a significant inflow. The distinction here is that XRP is the subject of far greater excitement. Additionally, when considering the price of assets from a retail standpoint, we look at Bitcoin and say, well, so it's $70,000 per Bitcoin. That is quite costly. Additionally, Ethereum was around $3,000 at the time the DEFs were not approved. At the moment, XRP is trading between $1 and $2. And after examining it, we say, okay, that's pretty inexpensive. I should simply purchase some of this TF since I might be able to perform a 10x, 20x, or 50x. The retail industry is captivated by the prospect of something becoming less expensive. When we consider this once more, what sort of inflows did this record since it went live already? What we have here is that on the first day, the volume of the XXRP to XXRPE TF was $5 million. Very admirable, particularly in light of the state of the market. Though both are 200x less than King Ibit, that places it in the top 5% of new ETF debuts and around 4 times what the 2x Solana ETF sold. Once more, it is important to keep in mind that the Bitcoin TF was the first cryptocurrency ETF to be approved in terms of a spot position for Bitcoin. And it came from BlackRock, Therefore, we must consider this rationally. The XRP ETF was obviously not going to outperform it. Solana is no different. However, the fact that it saw more inflows than the Solana ETF, as you may know, indicates that there is a high demand for XRP, particularly given the current market conditions. Here, I have to concur with Eric. The current state of the market is really difficult, Therefore, it's quite excellent that we did have over $5 million in volume on the first day. Naturally, we'll monitor this over the next few weeks to see how it performs. However, I do believe that this will continue to be a rather successful endeavor. Now that the other TF participants can see how well this one is performing, they can argue that they should have an ETF centered around XRP as well. This is the good news about this As I mentioned earlier, I believe that this is a major catalyst for all other ETFs to be trading in real time. Thus, we will undoubtedly need to observe what takes place here. However, I do believe that XRP at FES will significantly alter the landscape. Additionally, I believe that they will be quite successful for XRP as well. Apart from that, however, we did witness a significant upgrade from Ripple. Therefore, Ripple is paying $1, $25 billion to acquire prime brokerage Hidden Road, which is the biggest deal in the history of the cryptocurrency business and the largest deal ever for the digital asset company. This is enormous. Now, I would like to share some of the remarks made by Ripple staff members. First, we do have from Ripple CEO Brad Garlinghouse. One of the biggest transactions in the history of the cryptocurrency industry, Ripple revealed today that it has acquired Hidden Road for $1.25 billion. However, the cost isn't the most crucial factor. This transaction represents a once-in-a-lifetime chance for cryptocurrencies to get access to the biggest and most reliable traditional markets, and vice versa, along with other crucial roles that banks have traditionally handled, such as hidden road. Prime brokers have established themselves as the go-to middleman for the biggest hedge funds, market makers, OTC desks, quant traders, and more. Since Ripple has been a client of Hidden Road for many years, we are familiar with their depth of knowledge, having cleared $3 trillion yearly for more than 300 of the world's leading financial institutions. This is the money and activity that will access the XRP ledger and XRP's bread and butter, instantaneous, cost-effective, scalable, and an efficient value transfer. Hidden Road will use the XRP ledger to clear some trades rather than waiting a full day to complete trades through fiat rails. Currently, it is a part of the initial trades. Because of the efficiency of using XRP in the XRP ledger, I do anticipate this to grow dramatically. Additionally, RLUSD will be used as collateral for all of its premium brokerage services, which include trading in both traditional and cross-asset cryptocurrencies. With this transaction and the support of Ripple's sizable balance sheet, Hidden Road will become the world's largest non-bank prime broker and greatly increase its capacity to service its pipeline. Together, Ripple and Hidden Road represent a generational advance that is prepared to genuinely bridge the gap between traditional and decentralized finance. Right before we actually start the official release on this, we even dip into a couple more comments. Let's consider this to be bullish. After Ripple bought Medeco, we witnessed various transactions with HSBC Bank and Decade Bank through Medeco. And you just witnessed that purchase, increase Ripple's institutional side. However, Medeco has some significant institutional players associated with it. However, it lacked more than 300 of the world's leading financial institutions. Through this acquisition, Ripple has now increased its clientele by more than 300, including major global institutions. In addition, $3 trillion annually. According to Ripple CEO Brad Garlinghouse, this is the capital for an activity that will use XRP and the XRP ledger's mainstay instantaneous, efficient, scalable, and inexpensive value transfer. Therefore, if we are considering this rationally, then perhaps it won't be the full $3 trillion. However, I do believe that the XRP ledger is about to see trillions of dollars move. This announcement is huge. In addition, Ashish Birla has provided us with a few additional remarks. In addition to being a board member, he was formerly employed at Ripple. A successful user experience depends on significant liquidity surrounding tokenized assets, stablecoins, real-world assets, etc. I'm thrilled about my purchase. Yes, considering that this will greatly boost liquidity, the widespread adoption of Ripple products, the XRP ledger, and XRP for tokenized use cases will be greatly aided by this development. We are discussing custody. We are discussing tokenization as a whole. We are also discussing the expansion of ROUSD use cases. I'm really enthusiastic about this, guys. Additionally, we have from Ripple CTO David Schwartz, an important turning point for the XRP ledger and XRP was reached when Ripple acquired Hidden Road. On a variety of conventional tracks, the prime broker executes more than 50 million transactions daily and clears more than $10 billion. $10